All right. Well, hey, everybody, welcome. Welcome to today's actionable business training on the ultimate marketing and sales funnel. My name is Charles Gaudette, and with me is my man, Zach Burks.
Hey everyone, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to be covering this topic today because whether we're talking about a marketing funnel or a sales funnel or any sort of funnel, it seems everyone's dying to find out what's the best way to find leads and convert them into sales, right? And usually, like, what's the easiest way to do it? And so I've got to say, Charlie, a lot of what we're going to say today is going to go against a lot of conventional guru wisdom, if you will, based on what you see out there, who try to tell you that you need to one particular funnel more than another. And so, Charlie, before we get started, maybe you could take a few minutes to tell everyone why you're qualified to speak on this subject, right? So, like, why us and why this subject?
Sure. A good question. I mean, we're in a day and age where there's a lot of gurus talking about everything. Doesn't actually mean that they've actually done it. They read a book, and next thing you know, they're selling a course. But I've built marketing and sales funnels of many different varieties that have gone on to generate millions of dollars, both for B2B and B2C companies. And I've estimated that I've generated probably about close to $10 million just in product launches alone, and God knows how many millions of dollars on webinars. And I've tested and deployed countless others. But just to give you an idea of how effective some of these funnels are, right now we have a funnel running that I'm told, at least from the media buyer, that it's the highest performing marketing funnel that they have. And it's beating out a company right now that's doing $1.5 billion a year. And it's also beating out another company that's doing $100 million a year. So I don't say that to toot my own horn, just to let you know that the information that you're getting today is coming right from the trenches.
Right. And I know there are some people here that are hoping you're going to point them to the right funnel, whether that be a webinar or a Facebook funnel or LinkedIn, which is very popular now. So how would you respond to that?
Well, I guess for starters, see, most people think that a marketing funnel starts as a landing page, and then they deliver some sort of content, then they sell a product, a service, or maybe they're going to sell an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
That's a general framework, but it's not really enough anymore. You see, the thing is there's just way too much noise, right? We all know that you're going to put your name into a form, and you're going to start the whole marketing pitch cycle, right? So we got to be a lot more strategic. And so what we're going to do throughout this presentation is that I'm going to tell you, exactly how we've accomplished what we've done. But I need you to understand something really important here. A lot of you guys aren't going to like what I have to say, but I've tested many formats, I've tested many messages, and quite frankly, I'm not too proud to admit that I've actually designed more losing funnels than winning funnels. And I only tell you that because most people underestimate the amount of work that it takes to create a winning funnel, especially a funnel that creates millions of dollars. So you follow me so far?
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to jump in. I think that's a great point. And what surprises most people is that our success can be attributed to the basics, right? It's like dieting. There's a million different diet programs out there, but when it comes down to it, we don't rely on any growth hack or any sort of secret funnel that nobody's ever heard of, right? So, like, if it's your diet, to come down to, you have to do the hard work. You have to do the basics. You're not going to eat pizza every night and expecting to lose weight, right? So you have to get back to that basics, and it's very similar when it comes down to these sales funnels.
I mean, it's actually, when you look at what we do, it's almost embarrassing at how simple, really, even our top performing funnels are. So to start things off, I just kind of want to give you a visual. And if you see me looking over here, that's where my other screen is, where the presentation is, so I can look at you, or especially look at you, Zach. right? So that's what I hear there.
I'm sure that's it.
Yeah. So, to give you a bit of a visual, when you do a marketing funnel, you have to understand where your prospects are in the green face there, right? You have to understand where they are right now, and where they ultimately want to be. So it's kind of a bit of, you want to call it a prospect journey or a buyer's journey or whatever that might be. And the best funnels that you have, they start by meeting your prospect exactly where they are right now. And they tap into the existing conversations that are going on directly in their heads. And then you take them through, the first one or the first maybe two steps where they can actually start getting value.
Hmm. Yeah. And value comes in many forms, right? So you can either give them a quick strategy for a fast win. You see that a lot with ebooks, webinars, white papers. White paper might be more like academia based. As we've worked with a couple clients in that more space. Those are really common. VSLs, video selling letters, sales letters. So those are really common as well. Or other, content based funnels. Or you can give them, or the other form of value can be give them clarity, right? Yep. So for many people, they're just so overwhelmed that if you can just open their eyes to seeing where they might be inadvertently leaking profits or overlooking opportunities or not doing this right, whatever it may be, this alone goes a long, long way. And it's like you're kind of building that value and trust by providing that clarity.
And so because we only have a real limited time together, I'm not going to give you any information that you can just quickly find on the internet when it comes to building sales funnels. Instead, really what I want to leave you with is the three, I guess you could call it the three key rules that we've uncovered after years of really testing and tweaking marketing funnels that separates winners from the losers. And so I'm going to try to move as fast as I can, just so that I can give you as much value as I can. So the first thing that I want you to understand is that I don't really want you to concern yourself with the format. You see, don't get trapped into the idea that you need to do a webinar, or you need to do an opt-in, or a Facebook funnel, or a product launch, or a quiz funnel, or anything else that might come up, or might see other like experts or gurus pushing. That's actually the least important part of a winning sales funnel. Mm-hmm. I've seen everything work, and I've seen nothing work. That funnel, for example, that I was just telling you about, the funnel that was beating out a $1.5 billion company. Well, guess what? It's a webinar. It's actually an auto webinar, right? There's nothing special, and there's a million people out there that are teaching you how to do webinars. But when you think about it, how many people do you know that actually created a webinar that consistently makes money? Right? There's no shortage of information, but how many people do you know that consistently make money with webinars?
I probably know like a handful, if that.
Right. And you see, I actually took the exact same structure of the funnel that's beaten that $1.5 billion company, that's made us money every single month, and I used that exact same structure, copy and pasted it exactly for another client. I gave him everything. But you know what? He can't make it work. And he's never, ever going to make it work if he doesn't follow the rules that you're going to get right now.
Right. Yeah. The funny thing is we've seen all cold email work, direct mail work, right? People are like, oh, mailing is dead. But like we've seen it work. It still works today. Telemarketing, text message funnels working, webinars, you name it. And Charlie, you had someone call you, if I'm trying to remember this correctly, who had a multi-million-dollar business and they were using only Yellow Pages, right?
Yeah, that's it. Like only Yellow Pages.
Right, which is just crazy, right? I don't think I've looked at a Yellow Page like book in years, but you can find anyone in practically every niche out there who's making millions of dollars from one funnel, and someone else who says the same exact format, same exact funnel won't work for them, right?
Yeah. That's why I can't emphasize it enough. It's not the format. It's not the format that separates the winners from the losers. And we get those questions all the time, like, what do we like better and so forth. It's not the format. Mm-hmm. Right? So let's start with really the first real big principle. right? It starts with a principle we call not every fish eats a hot dog. And when I was a kid, my dad, he actually sent my brother and I down to the end of the dock with hot dogs on our hooks and would catch these little perch, little fish, tons and tons and tons of these little perch. But we never actually caught a bass with a hot dog. Apparently, you know, bass, they just didn't like the kind of hot dog that we're using, right? So if you want to catch a bass, you got to use some sort of jig of sorts, right? But if you want to catch a tuna, well, then you kind of have to step up your game even more.
Hmm. Yeah, and of all the different bait pieces, if you will, different baits and formulas we tried, our best results by far had to do with knowing the type of fish we're looking to attract, right? Rather than
Hmm.
just like the shiny, what's the great format, it's just focusing on them. So it doesn't matter if you have the most
Yeah.
expensive hot dogs in the world. Um, not every fish is going to like that hot dog.
Right. Well, I think they're probably the best example that I can give you, maybe one that everybody can relate to, is in the financial education space. Financial education space. Speaking too loud. I got my caffeine with me, right? Or not too loud, too fast. Got my caffeine with me. But in the financial education space, people just naturally think that um, it's all about getting rich, and so many marketers believe that that's all their list cares about. So they push this idea of making money, and they smash them over the head with this message about how much money they're going to make. But I can tell you, because I've worked with a number of different clients in the space, that one of the primary urgent and emotional needs for these folks um, is that uh, it all comes down to retirement, right?
Hmm.
So now, if you want to build more of a strategic funnel, you got to build your content around showing them how to retire more comfortably. Take that to a deeper level, and for one client, it was about his ideal prospects just wanted to make enough money so that they could take care of themselves when they retired and they didn't have to become a burden on their kids. For another client, his ideal prospect wanted to make enough money so that they didn't end up. I mean, this literally came directly from their mouths. So they didn't end up working at Home Depot, or they didn't end up working as a Walmart greeter for the rest of their lives. That was a really important point for them. And for another
Wow.
one, they just wanted to replace their income so they could quit their job because their employment wasn't as safe as it used to be. Because they're just seeing people just a few years out of college getting promoted above them. And it's scary when you're in your mid to late 50s, because the fear is that if you're an employee and you're in your mid to late 50s, that your options then become a little bit more limited.
Hmm.
And of course, for other people, it's about put money away for college, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yeah. So know your market, not at the surface level, but know what's really bothering them.
Mm. I mean, that's a great point, because if you don't know what's bothering them, you're not going to motivate them to take action. And look, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about if you ever caught yourself laying on the couch watching an infomercial, right? And you just love to change the channel, but the remote control is all the way on the other end on the TV stand. And so rather than change the channel, you're sitting there on the couch watching Suzanne Summers and her Thigh Masters go on and on, right? But it's not until you get to the point where you just can't handle it anymore, where you just get so uncomfortable that you actually get up off the couch, you grab the remote, you change the channel. So your prospects, they're not actually going to give up their email unless they're experiencing enough pain or discomfort to actually make it worth it for them. And so once you know with absolute precision who your market is and what makes them uncomfortable, right? You just don't want to assume, for example, that they want to make money. You got to understand what makes them uncomfortable. You got to adhere to these three rules. One, make one unique promise that the market desperately craves. Number two, offer a measurable result. Number three, you got to make it timely. Now, this is where most people screw up. All three of these principles need to be in place for it to work. And let's see here.
So, for example, I think we have the next slide is a
Yep.
typical funnel ad for a B2C market. So you can see we see thousands of landing pages and ads like it, and this one's not great. And they fail because it offers a measurable result and it's timely. $3,000 measurable this month. When do you get it? But it's not unique, right?
Right. So again, it's the three rules: make one unique promise that makes the market desperately craves, measurable result, make it timely. So then, now you compare this offer here with this offer here, if you can read it, by Ryan Jones. How an average options trader with only a $5,000 account can use warp trades to create a seven-figure fortune within 5 years. So it's unique. Warp trades, that's unique. It's measurable, seven-figure fortune within 5 years, and it's timely, right? Because we're talking about 5 years, an actual time period.
Mm-hmm. So go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Then you have this B2B example for a LinkedIn consultant. And this really just fails at all levels. It doesn't offer a unique promise that the market is like desperately craving, because there's just so much marketing, like LinkedIn stuff out there right now. So like, okay, how is this unique? Doesn't offer a measurable result, and it isn't timely. But real quick on the measurable result, I think sometimes people are like, well, doesn't that sound a little scammy? Or like you get 30 leads in 30 days. Yes, but it's been proven to work. I don't know if it sounds scammy, but like those are the principles that absolutely work. So you have to include that, right? Just simply saying a LinkedIn marketing secret. What does that mean? That could be anything.
Right. Well, somebody once said platitudes are like water that roll off a duck's back, right? It's a specificity that sells. So, I wouldn't have probably used the word scammy, but there's somebody here, Matt, who's in the health industry, right? Health food space, health food industry. So he's probably very familiar with like P90X, right? P90X, very measurable. You transform your body, within 90 days, right? So very measurable, unique promise, and so forth, timely. And now when you compare this one here, this LinkedIn marketing secret, and you compare it to what Josh Turner does, right?
Mm-hmm.
It offers a unique promise, right? It's a measurable result, and it's timely. Well, I should say it offers a unique promise now, but eventually you're going to get 1 million people copying that, and it won't be unique anymore. So you'll have to adapt.
All right. So once you put out the right bait and you meet them where they are now, you're capturing their attention and looking for a response. Getting this part right is the hardest piece of a marketing funnel. The buying traffic part is easy, right? You can go on Facebook, Google different media buyers, or leverage joint ventures to promote for you. If you don't get this part right, you won't convert, and you'll be wasting your money on paid advertising.
Yeah, no, that's right. So let's go on to the next principle, right? The next principle is that once you get your attention and you deliver your message, or whether you deliver your message, I'd say in an ebook or webinar, whatever it is, you got to create content that addresses one urgent and emotional need. For example, I just got off the phone yesterday, in fact, with a successful seven-figure entrepreneur, and he was complaining that the company is just disorganized and needs more structure, and he feels like he needs to level up so that his team doesn't quit or lose motivation. That's like a real big emotional pain. And there are many business owners where the emotional pain is that, maybe they get pulled in 1 million different directions. They're busy, really, really busy. But at the end of the day, they feel like they got nothing done. And it's frustrating, especially when you're constantly missing your goals or you're seeing inferior competitors pass you up. Like that's another example of an urgent emotional need. Or we talk to entrepreneurs all the time who are dealing with roller coaster revenues. Some months feast, other months famine, right? And it's a stress that they're just overworked and they're constantly worrying about how they're going to make their ends meet. So each one of these issues are an emotional pain. And we want to deal with one urgent emotional pain throughout this content.
Mm, right. Yeah, this is a good reminder. So all the content you're creating is all geared towards answering and addressing what makes them uncomfortable. So you must be able to demonstrate to your prospect that A, you understand their problem, B, you can solve their problem, preferably easily, right? So you can solve that problem easily. And then you can, C, produce measurable results quickly, right? So if you do this and demonstrate it with real proof, and this is key, demonstration, you'll get the sale. For example, anytime you offer real actionable advice that gives people something to do so that they can actually see an immediate improvement in results, that's something that moves people closer to that sale. Just walk down that path.
Yeah, that's a really, really key point that you brought up, Zach. So I'm going to repeat that, is that, anytime that you're able to give somebody real actionable advice that gives them something where they can see an immediate improvement in results, that's going to help you move that much closer to the sale, right? So now let's assume that you've done a good job up to this point. If you did do that, now making the sale is actually going to be a lot easier. You've warmed them up. They feel like you're going to be able to deliver. They're starting to like you, trust you, the whole deal. And so closing the deal should be easy. If you find it more difficult to close a deal, really hard, and your close rate is low, you need to do a better job now looking at, are you meeting, did you put the right bait piece out there? Are you really addressing their needs, helping them, delivering value, and so forth? And assuming you do a good job, then principle number three is irresistible offer, right? And this is an offer so good that you must believe that people are going to be crazy to pass it up. I love this one here by Michael Mogul. Mogul's one of the greatest guys. He's awesome. And he's running a conference for attorneys, and he made these people an irresistible offer. $100,000 guarantee. If after the first full day of the summit, you don't feel like you've received at least $100,000 of value, then you talk to him and he'll not only refund the ticket, he's going to pay for your flight home.
That's crazy, dude. That's so crazy. I love it. And that's just totally Mike, right? Like, that's just something he would do.
Yeah, it is. And it's bold. And you know what? Here's the coolest thing about that. The result of what Michael's doing, he's on track. This will floor you, Zach. Ready? He's on track to sell out the event 50 days before the event actually happens. I mean, he's already had to expand the conference room. He went in one conference room. He had to expand it because so many people were buying. He sold out of his room blocks not only once, he sold out of them twice and had to buy a third room block. And now he's at the point where he's limited. He's only got, I think it was like 27 tickets left. It's a real hard stop because the fire marshals say he can only have so many people in the room. And then, other than if he goes over that, it becomes a fire hazard. So he's got a very real cap. And nobody in the industry is doing it, right? Nobody in the industry is able to sell out that quickly.
That's crazy.
Or sell out, period. And a lot of that comes down to having the chutzpah, right? If you want to call it that, to have that real bold guarantee, irresistible offer. For our company, right? Predictable Profits. We find that when we find somebody that we can truly help, we'll make them an irresistible offer. Typically it's $1,000 for 4 calls. And if for whatever reason you don't see how this has been the best investment that they've ever made in their business, then they can go through the 4 calls, get 100% of their money back. And I mean, you've seen it, Zach. I mean, most people will find thousands of dollars within the 4 calls. One guy found $1.35 million, right? All because of a problem with the sales team, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. It all comes down to this big, bold guarantee that's going to get people to take action.
Yep. That's different, right? That stands out, that your market is craving. So it's not like everyone else. And so we're working with our clients on their offer. It needs to be bold. It needs to be memorable. And it needs to make, this is an important one, right? But I have this written down. It needs to make our clients uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. If they're not uncomfortable, it's not bold enough, right? If you're not squirming a little bit about like kind of the guarantee or what you're offering, it's not big enough. And so this is what drives massive sales. I mean, massive sales, right? I'm not talking about a few thousand. I'm talking about millions of dollars. If you can really be bold, memorable, and be willing to step outside your comfort zone.
In fact, for every single one of you that are listening to this presentation right now, if there's one thing that you take from this, I mean, there's a lot of nuggets. I hope you understand like all the different nuggets that were dropped in here. But there's one thing that I want you to really take from this. It's when you make your offer, if it doesn't make you uncomfortable, if you don't squirm a little in your seat when you make the offer, it's not bold enough. Go back. Push yourself. Make yourself a little bit more uncomfortable. Okay, sure, you might get a couple refunds here and there by people who take advantage of you, but you're going to sell a whole heck of a lot more when you're uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So, again, I know we're up against the clock here, so I'm going to kind of recap this for you. Don't worry about the format. That's not what matters to create a winning funnel. Know who your market is, and know what makes them uncomfortable. Know the bait, right? Know the bait. Not every hot dog or not every fish takes a hot dog, right? Know the bait. That's going to attract your ideal prospect's attention. And then you want to adhere. Be nice if I put the last slide on, right? You want to adhere to these three principles. Number one, you got to make one unique promise that the market desperately craves. Number two, offer a measurable result. And number three, you got to make it timely. So create content that addresses one, big, urgent, emotional need. And then finally, create that irresistible offer. So that wraps up today's mini seminar on the 3 ways to create the ultimate sales funnel. We're going to continue to put out even more content. Either just go to predictableprofits.com and click on the button that says free business training, or there's a link over there on the screen. But we'll continue putting out more content, and that's that. So hey, thank you everybody for being here. It's truly been my pleasure. Hope you enjoyed this as much as I've enjoyed this. So thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate the feedback. Thank you.